Hey, what is up, guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're back ready to be talking about Lich. This hero right now, I mean, it's really good. This is one of Dota's best POS 5s in the game right now, and that's just because it's been getting buffed and buffed and buffed. But Lich is definitely one of the most confusing heroes in Dota right now. It's a hero that's been changed quite a bit. It's been nerfed, it's been buffed. So yeah, let's kind of break down Lich so you guys can gain MMR as a POS 5, because I think with Warlock, this is probably the second hero I would recommend. Maybe something like Abaddon if you're very low MMR. No offense, but yeah, let's hop right into it. On top of that, go sign up to the gameleap website, guys. I'm posting new content over there almost every day, and I'll see you there. In the laning stage, the weirdest thing about Lich by far is his innate. So his innate makes it where you cannot have mana regen, and this is going to come into play throughout the video. It's very weird that Lich cannot have mana regen, but he gains 2.5% of his max mana for creeps dying or neutral camps dying, or like a Enigma Eidolon. So Lich actually really likes laning against unit heroes for two reasons, which we'll get into. And he gets 15% of his mana for dying heroes. So this is pretty cool, right? Basically, when these creeps die, denies, and last hits, you will get mana. If heroes die, you get a ton of mana. However, this will pose some issues because things like Clarities, Sage's Mask, Ring of Bassi just don't work on you, so you have to be aware of this. So in the laning stage, the main thing you want to do is take advantage of the 30 attack speed slow of Frost Blast. It's also only a 7-second cooldown, so you can catch people off guard and nuke them twice before they can nuke you once. In general, you want to trade with people during this 30 attack speed slow, then when it's ending, you can kite out. However, the attack speed slow is 4 seconds and the cooldown is 7 seconds, so it's really not a large window and you can trade pretty consistently. In terms of starting items, this is very standard. The only thing that I would maybe add or change for this build is I would like to see the Fairy Fire be potentially a mango. Obviously, Fairy Fire gives you that outplay potential, but Lich has this issue where, yeah, you can just run out of mana. A fight can break out and your mana regen will never kick in. So I like the stick here. I think the stick against Bristle is obviously necessary. Against Rubik, it's good. However, if the lane isn't a good stick lane, you can just replace it with multiple mangoes, as really, that's the only way you can get mana back because Clarities and Sage's Mask don't work. And you'll notice as this lane progresses, they're eventually going to get a kill on the Rubik. I'm not going to spend too much time on the lane because really it's just about nuking people as much as you can when they are in attack range. You don't want to nuke them for fun. A lot of people get this wrong. They kind of just throw out a Lich nuke. If you just casually throw out Lich nukes, you're trash! You need to make sure you're getting off auto attacks during those Lich nukes, during the attack speed slow, or you are not maximizing the hero. Now, at level 2, in terms of skill build, you can do two different things. You can skill Frost Shield, which just got buffed. It's a 45% barrier for 5 seconds at level 1. This ability is obscenely broken at level 1 now. And so with lanes where your ally has gap close, this can be a Slark, this can be Animage, this can be Monkey King, PA, Troll Warlord, even something like Gyro that just might run at them, right? It's really good to skill this so that that person can man up and go in. Now, during this, I would say try to play passive and focus the attention on the person with Frost Shield. So what I don't like about DY's gameplay here is I feel that he would have been better off kind of moving his positioning around just so that the Rubik maybe would hit the PA, because these autos on the PA will deal almost no damage, right? And that's something to note as he kind of gets his ass beat here. For his next items, he buys a Salve, he buys another set of Tangos. And the only thing, once again, that I would add is I always like to have a mango on Lich, because there's gonna be a lot of situations on this hero where you're just out of mana, and it is what it is. So now the alternative at level 2 is you can skill your Sinister Gaze. This is something I really like to do if I'm laning with something like Shadow Fiend, where he has overwhelming damage at level 2, and I can pull them into it, right? This is definitely an option for those types of lanes. So if you have overwhelming damage at level 2, this can be really, really good. Also, the reason why it can be better than Frost Shield is it drains mana when you use it on them, and it costs only half the mana. So if you're having mana problems, you feel like you're spamming your Frost Blast, and you kind of just want the cheaper ability, then Sinister Gaze is very good. Also keep in mind, it deals 550 damage to the large creep. So if the enemy pulls and you want to instantly kill the large creep from half HP, you can do that, and it's a cool way to secure the large creep as well as stop the pull from being overly effective. Now the next thing is Lich is one of the best gate users in the game. Obviously you need to make sure you have mana for this. In this case, he did. So if you have mana because you've been pulling and you've been sapping the dying creeps in the lane, then you can gate. Now this play doesn't end up working too well, but it is important to note that Lich is really good at this. You have 2 slows and a disable that can pull them into your team. So unfortunately here, the Sand King, as he showed up, didn't have stun or Sandstorm, so the play ended up looking kind of bad. But in general, and I don't like that he pulled the Luna into himself. Obviously, this is because he got Naga netted, so he couldn't get behind him to do it. But you want to try to pull them into your team. And this plays really easy to do because you slow them with Frost Blast, then you put the Frost Shield on yourself, that slows them again, then you pull them into you, and it's easy peasy. But the enemy mid showed up, and the Sand King wasn't ready, so it ended up not looking good. But trust me, this play is very strong on Lich. Next up, this was some pretty cool DY tech. I was really impressed with what he did here, at least I'm assuming with what he did here. So you'll notice he comes mid with his Sentry and a Ward, and look what he does. I think he's trying to use his movement as a way to scare the Rubik to see if the Rubik has a ward or not. Right? He's kind of like walking here and then walking around, and I believe he's watching Rubik's movement to see if the Rubik is going to react to his positioning. If Rubik reacts to his positioning by running right, or even walking towards him, either a hard right or a hard left, this is typically what people will do, then you know that they have a ward. So honestly here, I kind of thought that they didn't have a ward, so I'm saying it's cool, but I kind of almost disagreed. I feel like Rubik's movements weren't very reactionary or reactive to the Lich's positioning, and so I might have guessed that they don't have a ward on the hill. I think he wanted to play it safe anyway, so obviously the play kind of loses its purpose at that point, but it was cool. Nonetheless, I thought the idea was cute. All right, coming into minute 11, there's a couple things I want to talk about. Items, decision making. First of all, as you can see, you can kill neutral camps by draining them, so the drain deals more than half of a Hellbear Smasher's creep, and then you're going to wait so the nuke hits both of the creeps, and that gives you some mana back. All right, and side note, guys, if you hear children in the back of the video, which I don't know if you will, it's not because I'm doing criminal activities, it's because there's a daycare outside of my apartment building, so forgive the potential children in the background, and yeah, let's keep going. So with Lich, a couple things, you can farm these large camps. In terms of neutral item, there's honestly a couple things I would know. I think you should take Tranquils, so you don't have to take an HP regen item, and then you should take a mana item. The reason why I really like mana items in particular, or even something like Null Talisman, which I think is a good option on Lich, I've really considered buying it, or suggesting buying it. And the reason why is, this is percentage-based mana, right? So this innate, you get mana back, you get more if you have a bigger mana pool. So things like Lance of Pursuit that give 200 max mana are really, really good. Faded Brooch giving a high mana pool is really good. Or even something like Ironwood Tree, which is probably my favorite option out of all of them because it gives you some nice stats as well. It gives you a big mana pool, which makes your innate more effective. Also in this clip, I think it goes to show a big flaw with Lich, one of the issues with the hero, and why I wish he had 2 mangoes. You can't use clarities and you don't have any regen ticking in. Something he's doing to kind of like, I guess, offset this a little, which is really cool, is that draining large creeps actually gives you more mana than it costs. So he's farming neutrals, which is honestly a little weird. I think you can just drain the big creep for the sake of like getting your mana back and auto attack it to death. But yeah, if a fight breaks out, he straight up cannot cast all of his spells, even with his wand. And so just be aware of this, carry 1-2 mangoes in the mid game, it will solve a lot of issues. He's also going Glimmer, which I straight up hate. I understand, but you already have massive mana problems on this hero. Let's watch this fight break out, then we'll get back to items. Fight breaks out, you're generally going to lead with your Q. I think the pull here was a little unnecessary. If someone's already out of position, like they're already in between you and your team, you don't really have to pull them. I would suggest casting your Q and then holding the E. I feel like this one was a bit of a waste. From there, he's kind of pushing forward, he still has his W, and this hero can frontline. If you have Wand and Fluffy Hat, which I like the Fluffy Hat, don't buy raindrops, you don't get any value out of the mana regen, unfortunately. But yeah, he pops the shield on himself, and you can kind of bait. This hero is very, very tanky with Wand and a stat neutral item with the W active, and then gets a huge ulti off, and obviously this is always the selling point of Lich. And people in high MMR have good positioning, right? This is a top level game. They're not going to clump together nearly as much. It's much harder to use Lich Hole, but in average pubs, man, this is the best ability in the game. It's also why Warlock is like the best hero in low MMR, because people clump up, and you know, heroes that have nukes that just destroy people when they clump up are like the best in the game. And then yeah, I mean, even though it only bounces 3 times, I mean, that's more than enough damage. What is that? 750 damage? More than that, because every single Lich bounce increases the damage. It bounces 10 times, and for every sequential bounce, it does 15 more damage at level 1. So it really starts to add up. Yeah, for scale build, I like what he does here. This is the build that I prefer. You max your Q so you can fight in the early game. Then you're going to max your E. It's really cool. It actually lets you farm neutrals, because when you have it maxed out, it does about 1,000 damage to large creeps on an 18-second cooldown, so that's pretty awesome. And it's just, you know, a better spell, as well as the fact that Frost Shield at level 1 is really good now, because it's 45 instead of 30. The only thing I will say is if the enemy has, like, overwhelming physical damage, they have, like, Slaughter, and their mid's a Ricky, and their carry's a PA, then it's really good to max out the W, right? It does drop the cooldown all the way down to 15 seconds. It increases the damage by a lot. The duration goes all the way up to 8. So its ability scales really, really well. It's not that Frost Shield is a bad max. It's just that I really like it at level 1. And then it kind of gives you the ability to have 3 really OP abilities. Because I think Sinister Gaze level 1 is kind of meh, where W level 1 is really good. So that's how I like to see it. But yeah, as I was saying in terms of the items, I don't really like Glimmer. It doesn't give you max mana. Now, if you're dying, it's not the end of the world, but in general, it's really nice to have Pavis on this hero. That's my favorite item. I think the other item I like is Drums, and the reason why these 2 items are good is because they give you a mana pool, and mana pool means you're going to have more mana because that's how Lich regains mana. He wants a mana pool to gain mana. All right, let's look at some of the spell execution when your ulti is on cooldown, then we'll skip ahead towards the mid game to look at some of the cooler plays with Shard and so on. So as this fight breaks out, once again, I think I often disagree with how people use the E. Like here, he puts the Frost Shield on PA, fully reasonable. Keep in mind, it doesn't actually block physical damage, it blocks auto attack damage. So things like Bristleback Quills don't get blocked by Frost Shield, and you shouldn't expect it to. Frost Shield also doesn't block unit damage. A lot of people don't know this. It does not block Eidolons, it doesn't block Boars from Beastmaster, it doesn't block Treant, it doesn't block towers, it doesn't block anything besides like hero player damage. Which is kind of weird, but that's how it works. So like this pull was a little weird to me because it didn't stop the Bristle from actually dealing any damage to PA, because he can't auto attack her during the Ags. I guess maybe it could have pulled him away so that the Ags missed, and perhaps that was his idea, but whatever. Fight continues on. Lower cooldown of the E means it's back up, and I like how he turns here, and this is really nice against Bristleback because it forces the Bristleback to turn towards your team. So Lich is a really good hero against Bristle for that reason, right? It's super nice. At level 10, he takes Frost Blast, Radius, and damage, and to me, this is an absolute no-brainer. It is huge. The Radius becomes massive, and most importantly, this ability becomes like, what is it, a 485 damage nuke on a 7-second cooldown? Pretty insane. Okay, so the next thing to note that was really weird to me, and something I just learned, is the 10 talent increases the cast range of Frost Blast. On that note, let's talk about mid-game spellcasting and a couple of other things. Number 1, quick small thing, it's really good to kill waves on this hero. Q plus W basically will kill the wave, and so that's really powerful, right? You can nuke out waves, pretty low cooldown. That is also another reason to max the W, so I do think that there are really good reasons to max W, the main one being clearing waves. You can definitely keep that as an option. Moving on from there, so cast ranges, yeah, the 10 talent increases the cast range of the Frost Blast, which it doesn't say, it says radius, which you would assume is the blast radius of the spell itself, not the cast range. But yeah, no, it increases the cast range. So in the mid game, couple things to know. Number 1, W is the longest cast range by far at 1100. Then it's your ulti, then it's your Q if you take the 10 talent, and then it's your E. Usually it's E then Q, but okay, the 10 talent is more broken than I thought. So yeah, in team fights, you want to generally lead with Frost Shield because it's going to keep you in position, right? That's a good way to know if you're in position. If you're only in range of W, it often means that, yeah, you're kind of at a comfortable distance, as I don't know why he's so close to his front line here, but he's generally going to look to lead with the W. Then after that, often the Q helps your ulti work well, so does the E. So sometimes you won't just cast the ulti because it's the next furthest cast range ability. That's often a bit of a weird way to look at it, as he drops the Frost Shield on the PA, which I didn't like there. If she's getting out, she probably doesn't need it. Also, another thing is Lich's Shard. So this is something I recommend. My favorite item build is Drums Solar Crest, or Glimmer Drums, or Glimmer Solar. I think it is good to buy the Glimmer after your mana item, because it lets you sneak up on people. And you'll see that what you can do, once you buy your Shard, it gives you Ice Spire. So on a 15-second duration, 25-second cooldown, so this thing is constantly up, you can drop it down and it lets your ulti bounce off of it, so it won't just expire. That means you can solo kill people, as he finds the Naga here, and she's farming the camp, catches her, and what's really cool about Lich is you can cast your other abilities during Sinister Gaze. So he can cast his Q, his W, and his ulti during the Sinister Gaze, and that's what he does. He's fearing her. He even should have used his W, he's a little bit slow on it. But yeah, if heroes don't have a Force Staff, they will just straight up die, including cores. You can solo kill Glass Cannon safe laners with Lich once you have Glimmer, and that's why some people like going Glimmer straight into Shard. You will have mana problems, let me tell you, if you try to do that. You will have mana problems because you're giving yourself another ability that is at 150 mana, which is why I don't think that's a viable build, but people like doing it. Okay, in this clip, honestly, a couple things to talk about. So he takes Sinister Gaze duration, which I think is the better talent. Frost Blast cooldown is really good. because this ability is just strong, but it's late game. You want that bigger stun, right? 2.3 second stun. It makes the difference. And you'll notice here, right? Look, this Luna steps up. This is obviously the Psychic Headband. You want it. If you can get Headband, take it, because Lich's cast ranges are not the best, right? Which is why your next item can be Aether. Look what he has queued up. But yeah, pulls her in. Look at this. He's even slow about it. Like, trust me, he's not perfect. You can E, like, once you click E, you just button mash. Like, don't button mash your W, but just button mash everything else. And then, look at this damage. He gets chain stun. Oh my god. That's a statted up Luna. Like, she has BKB, Phylactery, Manta. Like, this guy is not squishy. 2500 HP? Boom. Dead. And so if you get good at the Ice Spire combo with Sinister Gaze, level 15 talent Sinister Gaze, and then button mash, the main thing is Ice Spire ulti, then Q. Man, do people die. And yeah, that's going to be the end of the video. So yeah, Lich hero. Also, a couple things I didn't even know. Another reason why this hero can be nice is it scales really well. The ulti does 550 damage per bounce. It does 25 more per bounce. Then at level 20, you get Chain Frost on death. You can take Frost Shield duration, this ability. If they don't have nullifiers, is really good. I mean, it's a 12-second, 60% damage block in the late game. Like, let me tell you, it's pretty good. Like, Frost Shield duration will be overlooked because people are like, oh, I want everyone to die at my hand, so I'm taking the damage talent. But no, I mean, yeah, it's Frost Shield talents are really good. Like, Frost Shield provides 50 HP regen with the 20 talent. It's a real timing. Obviously, the other one is more fun, and so it's what I'll recommend. But yeah, Chain Frost on death, Chain Frost unlimited bounces. You can do some pretty crazy stuff with Blink Lich in the late game. You just jump into the enemy team, drop an ulti, and then die, and it spawns another ulti. You can get rampages like that. Like, no joke. That's some like Dota Cinema, Dota WTF type shit right there. But all right, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and I'm out.
And that's all. But remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website, where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.